Jumpstart is one of the leading accelerator programs within the Singapore ecosystem, which brings together the different ecosystem partners, not only the universities, but also the hospitals, as well as private and public agencies, to actually solve some of the challenging problems in the healthcare ecosystem. And I hope that some of these teams can go forward to the Jumpstart program and make their presence felt in the ecosystem. So with that, thank you, Derek, for this opportunity. Back to you.
Thank you. And of course, Mayang has been really instrumental in designing this program and actually making it a reality. So for that, the Catalyst team is very, very grateful. Thank you, Mayang. Next, we have Dr. Lai Kar-Wing, as orthopedic surgeon and co-founder Abat Labs, as well as Catalyst. Kar-Wing?
Hi. Well, thanks for attending this event. I think it's actually very important to recognize that to get started, to get going, we needed support from various sources. So namely the Alumni Association, NUS Jumpstart, as well as the whole entire Catalyst team. The name Catalyst actually is, symbolizes an entity where we bring together people, different resources, and we try to catalyze innovations and bring them to a more mature level. And this is the inaugural program that we started, where we actually got 10 teams together, and we are trying to get them to move ahead. So this is actually the finale, and I'm actually very proud that we managed to get to this level with a lot of work done on the ground by namely Ching Ping. And I'm actually very happy that the panel is here to share their views on how good our teams are. And I look forward to the program. Thanks, Derek.
Thank you. So we are looking for ideas that could revolutionize the healthcare space in the post-COVID world. And we're also looking for solutions that could have a scalable impact. And you will see today a range of responses to that particular challenge. This is a platform that connects the clinicians and the innovators and help them take their first steps to their entrepreneurial and their innovation journey to solve those problems, some of the medical problems, the healthcare issues that they've identified and defined, and to also help them develop a proof of concept. We hope we have left the teams well prepared and thus in a better position to be considered for the Jumpstart program after this particular program has ended. This was a 5-month process that started in February. That took those 10 teams through team formation, problem definition, ideation, prototyping, and so on and so forth. We gave them a lot of help, but most of all, they were the ones who actually maintained the momentum throughout, and we end this part of their journey today with the demo day. So we launched this program in March here in this room and in a Catalyst. It was also a hybrid event. And in April, we held a selection day. This was when we invited 18 teams to come, put them through a number of exercises, and from there we shortlisted the 10 teams that you see today. And we did a number of incubation workshops to help them train these teams and give them the necessary skills and take them through the innovation process to help them develop from an idea to a prototype and a well thought through solution. We started as physical events, as you can see on that picture, but as the heightened alert phase kicked in, we had to pivot into virtual sessions. And to the team's credit, they maintained the momentum and they pushed through. And I think we've got fantastic feedback on the workshops in terms of helping them develop their solutions further. As they say, it takes a village. On behalf of the team and the organizers, I would like to thank all the trainers, facilitators, and mentors that helped out us in the last few months. I'd like to take the time to actually thank them individually, starting with Elvin, with venture partner at Farquhar Capital. Elvin mentored the team, CAAIP, and also delivered the pitch coaching workshops. We also have Anand, the Managing Director, NC. Anand mentored the team's Vanguard and also delivered the workshop on health economics market access. Christian from Novartis. Christian mentored the team's Mapping Health. And James, VP Diabetes Care, BD, who mentored the team Ask Doctor. And 4 more mentors to thank. Miguel, also from Novartis, Miguel mentored team Obio. And Peter from R3I Ventures, Venture Capital Fund, mentored teams COVID and Floco, and really importantly, delivered the workshop on IP and IP strategy. Yao Long from Trendlines, Yao Long mentored the team Sonos Medical Technologies. And last but certainly not least, a really good friend of Catalyst, Dr. Zubin, health industries leaders at PwC who mentored teams Newsmatic and Choosy. Thank you once again, mentors. Now, I would like to welcome our expert panel seated next to me here in person for the CAAIP Demo Day. In alphabetical order, Mr. Alok Mishra, CEO, Value Addition. Mr. James Tan, Managing Director, Quest Ventures. Dr. Julian Sham, Head of Health Business at AWS. Ms. Ko Shu-wen, Director, Innovation Transfer Office, NUHS. And of course, Dr. Lai Ka-Wing, Co-founder of Catalyst. So the 10 teams today will each pitch for 5 minutes. They've each prepared a 5-minute presentation. After we've done that, each team will have 3 minutes with the panel where they will give their feedback or ask them questions. Again, to the audience, if you've got questions, please hold your questions until the networking session later when you can ask these teams in their respective breakout rooms. So after 5 presentations, we'll take a short 5-minute break, and then we'll start after that break with KMate and finish the rest of the presentations before we go into the networking session. So without ado, let's start with our first team, and that is Floco.
Hello, my name is Sarah Cox-Vasquez, and we are Team Floco, and we are creating innovative dyes for flow cell cytometry. So we are an interdisciplinary team led by Professor Guillermo Bazan, one of the world's leading material scientists. Joining us is Dr. Zhou Cheng, who is a synthetic chemistry expert. I myself have expertise in molecular biology and biophysics, and Ines Jacinto helps us to take the science into a business. So why flow cytometry? Well, flow cytometry is one of the most powerful techniques both in the clinic and in the laboratory. It's really important for understanding cells on an individual basis, and it can help you to sort samples between certain different populations. So it's very important for studying cancer, infectious disease, blood analysis, genetics, and developing new drugs. So why flow cytometry? It's really good at investigating particles of many different sizes, ranging from large samples like mammalian cells to smaller samples like bacteria. But there's a new player in the game called the exosome. So exosomes are these really tiny particles that are secreted by all different cells, and they're like little tiny packages filled with genetic material and proteins. But current exosome dyes don't unleash the full potential of flow cytometry. And here's a video explaining Floco dyes.
Introducing Floco, a new way of labeling the tiniest particles of life. Exosomes are nano-sized vesicles that all cells produce, both healthy and disease. They are tiny packages containing genetic material and proteins that are required for cell-to-cell communication or cell reprogramming. They are emerging as tools for early and minimally invasive disease diagnosis and for drug delivery and immunotherapy. However, exosome detection is often limited due to the nanometer size of these particles, except through advanced flow cytometry. Yet, the sensitivity of detection is stringently dependent on the quality of the dye used to label the exosomes. Floco introduces a simple and accurate alternative to labeling these tiny vesicles. These dyes are unique in their chemistry compared to current dyes used in flow cytometry. They can also label bacteria, blood, and mammalian cells, and even be used for tracking cell divisions. Flowco dyes are brighter, easier, and faster to use. These patented dyes only light up when bound to the sample target and are designed to come in a variety of colours ranging from the ultraviolet to the near infrared. Flowco, let your flow glow.
Flowco is providing innovative dyes targeted for exosomes for flow cell cytometry. Traditional dyes are very difficult to use. They require over 3 hours of preparation, 5 different specialized tools which aren't that accessible, and they're just not very accurate. Flowco dyes are much quicker. They take 10 minutes to get to the result, they're accessible and fuss-free, and most importantly, they're accurate. So if you looked at the traditional dyes, it would take you about the same amount of time to climb to the top of Marina Bay Sands 3 times to use those dyes. But Flowco dyes would be like taking the elevator. So if you have an elevator, why would you take the stairs? So Flowco dyes are fast and easier to use. They're accurate, they come in a variety of colors, and they're very innovative chemistry. And besides exosomes, they have a variety of applications including whole cells, blood, and bacteria. And exosome research is trending. Both scientific publications and clinical trials have been exponentially increasing every year. This year alone, 15 new scientific studies have been published every day just on exosomes. As for the market sizing, the total global market for flow cytometry is valued at $11.5 billion. Our beachhead market, which is research reagents for exosomes specifically for flow cytometry, we valued that at $410 million by 2026. And looking at our competitors, while they can offer a wide variety of colors, they're neither time efficient, they require additional equipment, and they generate false positives. All things that Flowco dyes don't suffer from. So what's next for Team Flowco? We're going to be incorporating in the next few months, and we're looking to establish collaborations with other exosome researchers. So you can scan this QR code if you'd like to get in touch with us to learn more about Flowco. Thank you so much for your time. Flowco, let your flow glow.
Thank you, Sarah. Panel, questions or feedback?
Thanks for the presentation, Flowco. That was very fast-paced through probably an area of science I'm not too close to, but just wanted to ask maybe the statistics you were giving there in terms of time saving from 5 hours and below to 10 minutes. What's the coverage of Flowco in terms of, how many different procedures can you replace with the one Flowco through the laser tagging that you've got there? Trying to think of time saved, obviously researcher time saved, and obviously the need to only have one set of equipment rather than multiple sets of equipment.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your question. So in terms of the time savings, what we're really offering here is kind of a mix and go type of approach. So you can simply mix the dyes with whatever target you're looking at. Here we're speaking about exosomes, but we also have other applications that it's applicable with. And so, we're allowed to eliminate a lot of equipment with that. So really all you need is just very basic standard lab equipment and then access to a flow cytometer, which what I say is readily accessible in many clinical sites as well as research sites.
Thank you.
I have 2 questions. So on the science front, do you allow multiplexing with your dyes?
Yes. Multiplexing is readily available. That's one of the really nice things about these Flowco dyes is that they come in a wide variety of colors. And what's really interesting is that they also have really emissive properties in the near infrared. So there are very few dyes on the market that can have very bright emission in the infrared space, which allows you to have lots of multiplexing in, your standard UV vis range.
Okay, thank you. And you said the target market is 410 million?
Yes, that's what we've calculated as the projection. Sorry.
What percentage market share do you anticipate being able to garner in the next couple of years?
So currently we've focused as Singapore as being our target research market. So that's where we base that number around. So people that perform flow cytometry and would be interested in these types of dyes.
Thank you.
One question I had is, because this is a pretty different technology in terms of a lot of the parameters compared to what is being done. So what do you see as the major barriers to adoption for this? Because one of the things might be, does it use the same type of equipment? Is additional training required? Is the cost going to be very different? So have you given a thought to that as yet?
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest barriers in getting anything established in science is getting literature precedents. So getting other exosome researchers to, adopt these dyes and to use them to be able to establish kind of it as the standard in the literature. But in terms of like training and actual use of the product, it's actually much simpler than what's currently out there.
Very good.
Thank you, panel. And thank you, Sarah, and the rest of the team at Flowco. Let's move on to the next team, and that's Sonos Medical Technologies.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Dana, and my team, Sonos Medical, is developing the next generation digital stethoscope, the Sonos Steth. A telemedicine startup I have launched is currently profitable, and the core of our business is leveraging on technology to improve physician productivity. We achieve this even though I spend 5 minutes per day on my patients. Yes, 5 minutes. Now, contrast this with my time at a home care medical team of doctors and nurses of a voluntary welfare organization caring for homebound or bedbound elderly patients. The three main reasons for our patients' admissions into hospitals are bed sores, urinary tract infections, and chest infections. Our nurses can detect and treat the first two conditions, but for chest infections, they usually call me during their patient visits, requesting me to do a house call. Most times, I have to schedule it a few days later just to diagnose and prescribe antibiotics. A lot of time wasted. A service feature I'm having difficulty launching for my telemed patients is the diagnosis and treatment of asthma. Asthma treatment, if started early, can prevent the condition worsening to warrant a visit to the emergency department. Almost always, the parents of asthmatic children have the medications at home. It is just that they do not have the objective science to know when to start treatment at home or to send the child to the clinic or hospital. In a recent discussion with a respiratory physician at one of Singapore's largest tertiary hospitals, he lamented to me that the EMR system stores lots of patients' data like ECGs, X-rays, MRIs, and CT scans, but they have no baseline respiratory audio data of their patients. Patients with, for example, bronchiectasis usually have baseline respiratory chest signs even when they are well, and these signs worsen when their condition exacerbates. We present to you the Sonos Steth. Imagine Sonos Steth allows my team of home care nurses to send me audio data in real time so I can diagnose there and then and correct antibiotics to the patients on the same day. Very early infections of the most frail cognitive impaired elderly patients will be picked up by my proprietary feature that none of the other digital stethoscopes have in the market. Imagine Sonos Steth provides point-of-care provisional diagnosis to parents of asthmatic children to start intervention, and at the same time, send off audio data to the attending physician to add an augmented layer of diagnosis. Imagine Sonos Steth provides the respiratory physician baseline audio data of his patients so that the hospital medical team can avoid ordering multiple X-rays or scans just to track disease progression and thus save costs. Singapore's Ministry of Health estimates that by year 2030, healthcare costs will balloon to about $60 billion because of the aging population. If we just corner 1% of homebound, bedbound elderly patients being cared for at home, we can come close to $84 million. Therefore, we are seeking funding of $250,000. This fund will be used to develop and iterate the hardware and software, conduct test-based and clinical trials on inpatients with X-ray confirmed pneumonia using artificial intelligence and machine learning. We are the team to succeed. 3 of our team members are co-founders of healthcare startups. Home care services are in the pipeline of my telemed startup. Another co-founder also launched an AI-focused healthcare workflow startup working with one of Singapore's largest network of elder care centers. We will be the showcases on how Sonos Steth will benefit the future-ready healthcare workforce. We will now show you a first prototype of our device and the physician online dashboard interface.
Thank you. Hannah, over to you.
I have questions. What percentage of money and efforts will be spent on the hardware? Because there are actually competing hardware out there. So why are you developing your own hardware?
Okay. The reason why we need to design and create our own hardware is because we have the endpoint outcome first, and we design backwards. Because most of the digital stethoscopes out there, they just develop it as a device, but they do not take into consideration the whole workflow until the point of value to the end user, which is either the physician or to the family of, for example, asthmatic children. I'm taking an example from my own telemed startup, where I actually thought of the value at the end, and then I designed it from the ground up. So that's the reason why now my telemed company is profitable, and basically it's really increased the productivity of myself. I just spend 5 minutes a day, and it's reached profitability already.
Yeah, so how much time and money are you going to be spending on the hardware?
Okay, so I'm not an engineer, so I do not have the engineering background. But the hardware, we will have to do some quick prototyping first for the hardware, including using things like the off-the-shelf Arduino boards, all right, and some simple sensors, and then we will trial run on earlier on, one of my co-founder, he has a contacts with the one of Singapore's largest elder care network centers, right? We will use those in care centers elderly to do a trial run, all right? And the things that we need to get some data first to run through our the machine learning component to get the AI out.
Okay, thank you.
What do you expect your business model to be?
Okay, we have a few options. Of course, the most expensive route is we develop our own device and acquire IP and stuff like that. Or we can also adopt a device as a service or software as a service model. All right, where we get OEM manufacturers, all right, to build up the hardware, and we just focus on the data component. All right. And the other option is we can actually partner with one of the big boys to manufacture the hardware part, and then we will support them with the AI and machine learning as well as the application use.
Thank you.
I think if I could comment, hi Dana. The problem you're solving is actually very worthwhile because you are not coming out with a solution and then trying to drive it into a problem. So this is a problem-based approach which actually works very well. The only thing is that when you actually do the solutioning, you really have to be very careful. So that's why Shuwen is always concerned about hardware. So I have my own hardware startup. I can tell you it's going to be a struggle. It'll take a long time, not just because you need time to develop the hardware, you need to have firmware, you need to have software, and then on top of that, you need to get regulatory approval. So this is a very long road, and $250,000 not going to get you there. Might be easier to just go to the market and look for something that suits your requirement, and then improvise because you have the software understanding, you've done telemedicine, your work processes and all that. That business model might be easier for you to get off the ground and then secure traction. I think that might be, you might want to consider that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, that's all the time for Sonus. Thank you, Dr. Dana, and thank you, panel. Next, let's move on to Team Obio.
Hi, I'm Eugene.
And I'm Elena, and we're the co-founders of OBO.
We're living in the time where people are living longer, but not necessarily better. As governments increase retirement age, it also means that people have to stay healthier and mobile for longer. This puts the responsibilities of health span in your own hands.
And so people today rely on social media for knowledge. However, platforms like YouTube and Facebook are filled with inaccurate and potentially dangerous or harmful information to health and wellness. This information is usually driven by marketing agencies and dropshippers who have something to sell you.
This is inevitable since the online education and longevity and wellness industry combined is growing at an exponential rate that is valued in excess of $20 trillion. We are proposing a solution to these two problems with a mobile app that connects learners to experts in a safe, accurate, and verifiable environment.
OBO experts have to be certified in their domain, and our platform provides them with an easy and guided way to upload videos or create courses. This lowers the barrier of entry and allows more experts to share their knowledge, and they can even earn extra income and build a network of followers.
After being verified, experts can start recording their courses using our proprietary video course builder. They can also live stream with the tap of a button, no tech skills required. Learners are assured that content creators are certified experts and can learn on the go and also be rewarded for their engagement. They will also be part of a community, so learning goes from online to offline.
On the platform, learners can view live streams and interact with their favorite experts, check out their profile, and create a library of safe content. Learners can also opt for free or paid courses to enjoy while they're on the go.
OBO is here to create a circular economy where everyone wins, so we can live stronger, healthier, and happier as a community. Alina and myself are both clinicians that have chosen the path of consumer education. As we both have experienced firsthand the disconnect in online to offline learning in health, we believe that OBO is the solution.
We've just completed our wireframe and prototype and are ready to go into app development. We estimate it will take 7 to 8 months from now to beta, and we're looking to raise $250,000 to hire developers, build a marketing team, and complete our beta launch in Singapore.
We're also looking for both tech and wellness experts to join our team or be part of our app community. We'll never stop learning, so your support will help make learning safer and better for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Alina and Eugene. Panel?
Yeah, the question I had is, what is your revenue model? Means how will you make money? Who's going to pay for this whole activity?
Hi, I think my video is not working, but I'm quickly answer that. For in terms of monetization, the first part is that whenever we have paid courses that's created by the creators, then we just take a commission out of that. So that's a very short term. But in the long term, we're also looking at a subscription model where we will have, like premium content that we work with creators that's going to be available to the learners. And also we will have a marketplace, and in this marketplace model, it's going to be a case where the experts, they can tag products in their own little library of products. So if I'm following this expert and I want to follow his or her lifestyle, then we'll be able, and if somebody purchases product from the library, then we also take a commission out of the purchase of the product.
Okay, so I had a follow-up question is, because you started off by saying that what people get on the net is not very credible. So I think your key differentiator should be some way of ensuring quality of what is there. So what are you doing differently? I didn't hear that in your presentation as to why would people feel this is more credible, more reliable than what they've been getting on Google and YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah, so interestingly, just yesterday this happened. In one of my mommy's group, one of my friends posted that I don't trust the internet anymore. And then we were like, what happened? She said, she has this backache, and then she went on to Google to search for something related to backache, and all she gets is just really wrong information. So because today, whenever you go to YouTube, people refer to social media for all their answers, right? When you go to YouTube, Facebook, and you key in a question, the page one of all these results is usually propelled by marketing companies, drop shippers, right? And a lot of times, the videos with the most views, they're being generated by influencers, not experts. So what we're trying to solve here is to make, the internet really, when it comes to medical knowledge or, your lifestyle knowledge, more precise, more accurate, and therefore with the OBO platform, really to gather experts in their own field and to help them create content even more effectively and easier. So therefore, then your learners, which will be your everyday users, will have access to all this credible content within the platform very easily.
Okay, thanks.
I might ask a question, it's Julian here from AWS. In terms of the kind of the content consumption model, I think, for cohorts that may have certain conditions like active ages, personalization might be a key quantum of that in terms of there may be things that are interesting from a particular expert, but not everything. Is there anything that's built into kind of your model there that allows more focused targeting of what does get consumed, identifying which experts are more appropriate to certain things that people are looking for? Or are you kind of providing a platform that then people will choose by themselves?
Yeah, so actually that is the heart of the entire OBO app, right? Because we are essentially in a niche. No, we're not like an all topic platform like YouTube. Because we are in a niche, we're able to even then more microscopically allow the users to tag topics that they're interested in. It could be like gynecology health, or it could be yoga, right? But at the same time, then we'll have the algorithm to match users with experts. And just by knowing what kind of videos or courses that the users have signed up for, we'll be able to also push, similar content over to them. But at the same time, what is more important for the OBO app is whenever we have a new expert that come onto the platform, well, we'll be able to push these experts over to the right audience. And that is what we found really hard when experts try to go onto YouTube, is that because experts, they're not influencers, they do not know how to get their video in front of the eyeballs. So with the OBO app, we can then very quickly create a community that's really targeted for the experts, and then the right information gets across over to the users.
Thank you, Eugene. That's all the time we have. Next, let's move on to the next team, and that's Newsmatic.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to Newsmatic. My name is Viet, CEO and co-founder. At Newsmatic, we mean delivery without any physical barrier. Let me share with you why it's important. Our skin is almost impermeable to external substances. Large molecules, including hyaluronic acid, collagen, are unable to penetrate our skin. Common molecules like vitamin E and vitamin C have very poor skin absorption. The most effective way to deliver large molecules to our skin is through microneedle. They have been around for over 90 years, but there's no change in the design and usage. They have limitation on skin area application, low skin penetration efficiency, risk of infection. There were 2 cases infected with HIV during microneedling recently. Dermaroller and dermapen are very effective in mesotherapy, but they have few drawbacks. They offer only one directional movement and one holding position. You have to hold the pen perpendicular to the skin surface during application. And they cause much skin trauma, and it's very hard to manipulate the device during application. And we have solutions to solve all these problems. Our OmniPen solves all these drawbacks of Dermaroller and DermaPen. It offers omnidirectional movement for easy and smooth application and manipulation. They offer less skin trauma due to smaller needle and smaller bowl size. It also offers adjustable needle length and coverage areas. It integrates serum cartridge for all-in-one use. Our microneedle device enhances skin absorption of active molecules by 10 times faster and 1,000 times higher. When used with commercial product, it increased product efficacy by 60% in 1 hour application and by 100% in 7 days application. Our device can also be used for drug delivery. TAM is about 60 billion and our SAM is about 500 million in global microneedling. Our SOM through 1,000 beauty spa and clinic is about 50 million. And this is our business model. We offer capital device model to sell device to beauty, spa, and clinic and end user. We also have consumer recurring model to sell like cartridge, serum, and microneedle bowl. We also offer annual software licensing and subscription. We have finished prototyping and filed one patent. We are going to launch our product in Singapore and Southeast Asia by early 2022, and we are going to launch in North America by early 2024. We are raising 400K for business development, product and technology development, manpower, and large-scale manufacturing. This is our team at Newsmatic. I have over 10 years of experience in microneedle and medical device. Himanshu has over 7 years experience in cosmeceutical and pharmaceutical formulation. And Richie has 5 years experience in automation and processing and manufacturing. We have extensive advisory board to help us in many important aspects, including business, regulatory, and scientific development. Why should you invest in us? We have proprietary and innovative delivery platform and devices. We have intensive IP portfolios with international coverage, strong potential customer and partners, strong and multidisciplinary team. Last but not least, we have beautiful product, globally scalable with multiple applications. So join us to bring the next frontier to microneedling and drug delivery. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you. Panel, over to you.
Can you talk a bit about the absorption rate? It's very high, and if indeed true, then that would be amazing.
Yeah, I think absorption rate, so based on the current size we measure, it can enhance absorption of drug like within 5 minutes after application. So for example, something like lidocaine numbing cream, using lidocaine drug, for example, it can enhance lidocaine absorption. Lidocaine can be detected inside or through skin after 5-minute application. The absorption rate is very high for microneedling and for our device.
So is this a reusable product, or do you throw away the pen and the ball and everything every time?
Oh, sorry, can I say again?
Is it reusable, or is it a single-use pen?
Only the bowl can be disposed. So the housing is reusable, but we dispose the bowl after use.
So
the microneedle bowl.
So how do you sterilize that?
No, we just we dispose the bowl and we use the new bowl. With the new bowl head, the whole bowl head with the socket, the bowl and the socket as well. So we just remove that one and plug in the new one.
Okay.
We don't need to sterilize the device.
But the pen can be sterilized.
The pen can be sterilized. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you anticipate this to be a prescription device? Like, does it need to be prescribed, or is bought over the counter?
No need. It can be bought over the counter. It can be used as home based or clinic based, depending on the configuration of the needle and the size of the bowl and the needle.
Sorry, I have some questions about the claims. You said it's 10 times more effective, 10 times, 100 times, I don't know, the penetration rate. Is that for the roller pen, or is it for the stuff that you did in research back in the lab?
Because we have developed the bowl, the microneedle bowl, and we use that bowl to roll on the skin and to test the skin absorption and skin penetration.
So it is for the pen itself. The 10 times
is for the pen. 10 times faster and 1,000 times higher.
And I would understand that the cosmetic product or whatever that's going to be on the pen, it's part of a cartridge.
The cartridge, yes, the serum. So the serum is inside the pen, and when we roll, it's just like the ballpoint pen. When you write, right, the ink come out. So now we have the microneedle bowl with the cartridge inside. When you write, right, then the serum come out.
Okay.
During the microneedling, the serum will come out. Yeah.
And how long does the ball last for? How many times can I roll on my face?
it depending on the material. So we have a plastic microneedlable, and we have a metal microneedlable. So metal bowl can be used for many times. So plastic one is for disposable. Yeah. So for the metal one, I think you can use as many as you can. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Newsmatic. I think next time we do a demo day, we'll arrange some samples, yeah, for the panelists. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
We'll move on to the next team, and that's Team Choosy, and that will be the 5th team. And after Team Choosy's Q&A, we'll go on to the break. Team Choosy.
Hi, my name is Felicia. I'm a surgeon by profession and also the co-founder of Choosy, Singapore's first aggregated e-commerce platform for authenticated healthcare products and services. Unregulated products and counterfeit medical goods are rampant in the online market today. There is a lack of a common e-marketplace for all healthcare products and services. Proper authentication is required urgently to ensure that products onboarded on the online market are genuine. We want consumers to shop for healthcare products and services with peace of mind. Hence, we look into regulation, onboarding genuine products onto the platform, as well as a very open policy on our aggregated platform for all healthcare services and products. We have also implemented Choosy's 3-step authentication process. This process involves step 1, ensuring that the supplier background is checked. Firstly, by ensuring business registration details are correct. Step 2, product background check, ensuring that all products onboarded have HSA or the EU or CE certification. And step 3, our own board of physicians and specialists for clearance and approval. Thereafter, we ensure that the products that are onboarded have a very clean user interface. We are now currently in our prototype phase, and this is 2 examples of the products that we have uploaded. The first would be a medical device. As you can see, it will reflect the relevant regulations that the product has obtained, for example, FDA certification or HSE certification. For services such as specialist consultations and allied health services, you'll be able to see whether these have achieved or the individuals have achieved the various regulatory approvals as well. Being the first aggregator healthcare platform in Singapore, Choosy hopes to be able to obtain at least a 30% market share. And with online spending increasing, we expect this number to increase even more. This is our revenue sources. We will get our revenue from firstly subscription fees and secondly from sales and logistics. We will levy a commission structure of about 5 to 30% depending on the sector involved. This is an example of the subscription packages that we plan to roll out, depending on the supplier's need for marketing features or premium onboarding services, such as assisted onboarding. So these are the co-founders in Choosy. Permas is a software engineer, and he looks after the technical aspect of our platform. Clement is a senior executive overseeing regulatory in a very large MNC in Singapore. Alan is a chemist by training, and he's got experience of starting various companies, and hence he looks after our business development. As for myself, I'm a clinician and a serial entrepreneur, and I've got a track record of starting up various companies in different industries. And hence, collectively, I think we have the experience and ability to make Choosy a success. We are planning to raise about $500,000 to launch and run Choosy over the year. This is an overview of where the money will be going to. 20% will be going to staff costs, 40% into marketing costs, 30% into product development and technical costs, as well as 10% into equipment costs. This is a timeline and overview of what we plan to achieve over the year. We're now in July, and we've already started our prototype development as well as the onboarding for phase 1. In phase 1, suppliers and services do not need to pay any subscription fees. We plan to launch our product sometime in September once we've got sufficient investor funding, because at that point in time, we can also have an active marketing campaign. We will then go on to onboarding phase 2, where we'll start charging for subscription fees sometime in January next year. We'll also start our B2B platform, where we'll allow hospitals and large institutions to tap onto our platform for our services. We are looking for partners or individuals who would like to join us, especially those with experience in e-commerce mentorship, investors, suppliers who would like to onboard your products onto our platform, as well as logistics partners. For interested parties or further inquiries, you can contact us at admin@choosy.com. Thank you for listening to my pitch today.
Thank you, Felicia. Panel?
What products are you looking at? Because healthcare is a very, very wide space. So is it medical devices, pharmaceuticals, generics, cosmeceuticals? Is there a space which you're looking at, or is it generally going to be applied to everyone?
Okay, yeah, that is quite a wide space. For the beginning, we will look at the probably is the lower hanging fruit. Is like the medical device, and the low risk probably is the low risk drugs. We are also looking at the healthcare services also.
Yeah. So you may want to study this a bit, because I've been involved with something like this back in 2003. Singapore wanted to do this. I remember that time Vivian Balakrishnan used to be the CEO of SGH. The thing which people miss out in something like this is that medical devices, the number of medical devices run into hundreds of thousands. So there's a company called GHX which tried to do that. Just making the catalog took 2 years. So that 2 months which you're talking about is not going to happen. So just look at some of the things which are required in this and creating a catalog with the information. Because if you have very few products, the materials manager is not interested in that. Because unless you have 60% of the requirements, they are not likely to enroll with that. But on the other side, getting the the suppliers to put it on it sometimes has a barrier, because they're not necessarily interested in one person being able to do price comparisons across the products. And then there's the issue of catalog. So there are things in this which you may not have thought about, and it may be good to talk to some people who've been there, done that, burnt their fingers. So it's a great problem to solve, not necessarily as easy as you make it seem.
Yeah, we understand it's actually not so simple, especially during the beginning where we are new. So yeah, you're right. We do need some help and guidance for the beginning stage. Thank you.
Just, I mean, purchasing organizations now, if your models are B2B, presumably I would hope that they already do some due diligence on the suppliers and the products they're taking in. What would be the USP of your particular application beyond what their own organizations might be doing? Why would they particularly want to join your program to bring in products as opposed to using their existing procurement practices and suppliers?
Okay, that's a good question. Actually, our first target is the market is probably for the individual, is the consumers first, where they as you mentioned, for the businesses probably they are better able to judge whether is the generosity of the products. But actually, our beginning, I'm from the regulatory background, so actually my main concern is that when I just Google on the Shopee and or Qoo10 and all the online shopping platforms, I'm really quite shocked to see that there are many the unregulated products being sold. And some of them, I mean, being from the regulatory and quality background, I can understand that it's really poses a real safety problem to consumers who won't know better. And they buy such products. So beginning, our main target is the individual, is consumers. For the B2B, yes, as you mentioned, we do have to think of a better is the unique selling point. But for start, we will focus on the individual consumers first. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you. So thank you, Clement. So now we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back with our second half of the presentations. The time now is 5:22, so let's take a 5-minute break, and we'll be back at 5:27. And see you soon. Welcome back, everyone. Let's crack on for the next 5 presentations, starting with CAAIP.
Very good evening, panelists. I'm Ryan, the CTO of CAAIP, and together with my teammate Seng Ying Le, the CEO of CAAIP, we are proud to be sharing with all of you our project, which is a mobility aid holder. Singapore is an aging nation, and as illustrated in this slide, an estimated 900,000 seniors over the age of 65 will account for the entirety of the Singapore population by 2030, with approximately 8% requiring a walking aid such as canes or walking sticks. Several issues that mobility aid users face include the fact when the single-point mobility aid is not held by the user or leaning against other flat surfaces, it falls to the ground due to its inability to balance. According to a study conducted in Singapore, the floor was the most contaminated surface during the COVID-19 pandemic compared to the toilets. Having said that, it is critical for users of mobility aids to maintain proper hygiene and avoid placing them on the floor or other surfaces at all times, as they may contract an infectious disease through contact with mobility aids that have been placed in dirty areas. Elders who bend up to pick up a fallen walking stick can face risks of falls and injuries such as hip fracture and head injuries due to their poor balance. This is our motto. We strive to provide the highest level of protection possible to all mobility aid users and believe that it should be accomplished in the simplest and most intelligent manner, yet remaining affordable to all. CAAIP's solution is to incorporate a mobility aid holder to the single point walking stick, which helps to attach to virtually any surface, preventing it from falling when not being held, but yet within the reach of the users. We are proud to introduce you to our patented portable walking stick holder, which has several smart features that will help to improve the lives of special needs users, which will be shared in more details by Ingler.
CAAIP is currently on its 16th prototype over across 7 years or so and includes several smart features. The first of which is an NFC chip that can review the weather forecast with simply just a tap of a smartphone. The second is a QR code which we created in collaboration with AIC. This QR code was specially made for elderly with dementia as they tend to wander around a lot and get lost. If anyone comes across a lost elderly person in public, he or she can simply scan the QR code to be directed to the next AIC managed pickup point where elderly with dementia can stay until the next of kin is contacted. Additionally, we also collaborated with LTA to actually shrink the Green Plus card down into the size of a SIM card and embedded it inside the CAAIP. This way, the elderly can simply just tap their walking stick at the traffic crossing to extend the time allowed for crossing. CAAIP's versatility is also not limited to community settings, but can also perform well in that of a hospital setting as shown in the picture. The cost per fall-related hospitalization for elderly in Singapore is a whopping amount of $7,367, while the single price of a CAAIP is a simple $15, proving this to be a cost-effective solution. These are the brand new prototypes of the CAAIP, reformed with a different color palette that appeals to both the young and the old. We are currently also working on integrating an Apple AirTag with a matching holder onto the CAAIP in order to create a safer environment for the elderly in public via GPS tracking. As of right now, over 1,000 lives globally have been impacted from CAAIP, with 100 elders each from Hong Kong, Finland, Japan, and 700 from Singapore itself. Our estimated market size for elderly walking stick users is about 6.8 million users in the US, 900,000 users in Singapore by 2030, and there are approximately 20.4 million walking stick users in the world. Even in the face of competition, as indicated by the diagram, the CAAIP is not only the lightest and most stable product available, but it is also the most affordable out of all of them. Over the past few years, CAAIP has also received multiple awards, including the 2018 WIPO iPlus IP Young Achievers Award. We have also recently partnered up with Genting Cruise Lines to distribute 100 CAAIPs to elderly passengers aboard their dream cruise. Here's just a sampling of the positive feedback we've received, along with a testimonial from Dream Cruises President Michael Goh. CAAIP places a large emphasis on our social outreach programs, and over the past few years, we have made a conscious effort to include and partner with as many youth-led teams and even create our own youth-led social outreach programs and teams to distribute CAAIPs and volunteer at old folks' homes. These are just a few images of our teams in action distributing CAAIPs and assisting elders with CAAIP attachment. Additionally, we employed our CAAIP craftsmen from BizLink to provide employment opportunities for individuals with disabilities, empowering them with skills and financial independence, and as a result, we now have exquisitely handcrafted and hand-assembled CAAIPs. These are all of CAAIP's partners, and we intend to incorporate both the main and company and our non-profit arm CARES to assist in the global distribution of the CAAIP. We are pleased to also provide free sample units of CAAIPs to clinicians or therapists for evaluation. Do kindly send us an email at the address below if you are interested. Thank you.
Thank you, CAAIP. Panel?
I just wanted to say I like the CAAIP idea of integrating the QR code, the traffic light stop thing into one thing. That's just awesome. Stops you having to fumble around. So I love that idea. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
I have some difficulty understanding. So this is an existing product which is already being used. So where's the new innovation?
Sorry?
You've been marketing this since 2017 from what I saw in one of the slides. So what's new about it for this panel?
Well, recently, although the invention itself was invented about 7 years ago, we've recently added more high-tech stuff such as the NFC chip and the Green Plus card mentioned in the slides, along with the QR code and the Apple AirTag.
Question I have is, are you then planning to gather some evidence or outcome data to prove that actually this improves the elderly in terms of not having falls, or they find it more accessible? Are you doing any sort of research since you already have so many users across the world?
Yes, we've actually run many trials before, and recently we've actually partnered up with Genting Cruise Lines to actually distribute 100 CAAIPs onto the cruise itself and actually let the elderly test it out. And with the CAAIP, we actually attached some feedback forms to ask them to rate the CAAIP to see whether it did improve their travel journey. And out of 100 feedback forms, and 80 of them responded, and all of them were positive, saying that CAAIP did help.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Any further comments or questions from the
Just a question from a business point of view. What is your markup for the CAAIP? I mean, how many percent, your profits, and how do you intend to distribute this across the region if you get traction? Do you have any plans in that area?
Currently, the cost to make one CAAIP is about $10, and the retail price for the CAAIP itself is $15. So most of the we plan to actually have our all our profits go to our nonprofit arm called CARES. So essentially, what our nonprofit does is that it redistributes that money into essentially making free CAAIPs to be distributed to those who can't afford the CAAIP. And we also have some portion of the money going to our BizLink craftsmen to enable them to actually make the CAAIPs. So
you have no plans to become like a secret lab of Singapore for CAAIP?
I mean, as we do increase the production of the CAAIP, the cost price of the CAAIP will go down, because when we started off, we actually produced like a really small amount of CAAIPs in like a factory in Shanghai. So when we do increase like the amount of CAAIPs you produce, then the cost will go down. Hopefully we can branch out more. And maybe we can be like a secret lab of CAAIP of like 600 for Singapore.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Folks, you heard it here first. Thank you, our future secret lab. And next, we'll move on to our next team, CAAIP.
Good day, everyone. My name is Amit Ambarkhane, and I'm the founding director of CAAIP Pharma based in Singapore. Our mission at CAAIP Pharma is to collaborate and innovate to develop novel medicines to treat disease with high unmet medical need. I'm an accomplished pharmaceutical scientist with passion to develop better medicines for a healthier world. Prior to founding CAAIP Pharma, I spent around 16 years in early drug discovery development to commercial roles in biopharma industry. Of this, almost 10 years in Novartis with translating early lead candidates from preclinical to clinical development. Our foundation is based on the philosophy of George W. Merck, who once said that we try never to forget that the medicines are for patients and they're not for the profit. Year and a half of fight against COVID-19 pandemic has taught us many lessons. Some of these lessons are highlighted here. Firstly, stockpiling of essential medicines is important not only to fight the current pandemic, but also in terms of preparedness for the future pandemics. Additionally, these therapeutics could be developed at lightning speed only via collaboration between government and private industry based on mission-driven approach. As a first indication, we plan to tackle dengue, which is a mosquito-borne disease caused by 4 serologically and genetically related flaviviruses, dengue 1 to 4. Dengue is a global public health concern, with both geographical range and burden of disease increasing rapidly. The global incidence of dengue has grown dramatically in recent decades, with almost 70% of the burden coming from Asia. Clinically, dengue ranges from relatively mild self-limiting illness to severe life-threatening and sometimes fatal disease. Dengue virus infects almost 390 million people worldwide every year, with 25,000 deaths due to its severe form, dengue hemorrhagic fever, DHF, and dengue shock syndrome, DSS. Severe dengue has been associated with exacerbated inflammation characterized by production of inflammatory cytokines, TNF-alpha, and various interleukins. At present, only supportive care is given to patients suffering with severe dengue with no specific treatment. Therapeutically, not many approaches are being investigated in the clinic. Atia Pharma, which is in phase 1, and Janssen in phase 2 with their lead candidates. We are developing 2 patented host-directed small molecule antivirals, COVA-001 and COVA-002. Host-directed antivirals target the host machinery instead of virus itself to block the viral replication cycle. COVA-001 is a broad-spectrum host-directed antiviral with in vitro efficacy data available against dengue. COVA-002 is a host-directed antiviral with in vitro efficacy against dengue and suppression of cytokine storm available in mouse model. It is being studied in phase 2 for COVID-19 patients currently, and hence the human PK data is already available. Positive data in preclinical testing in dengue mouse model would fast track the clinical development in dengue. We already have LOI to proceed for development in dengue for COVA-002. We plan to streamline the drug development at different preclinical and clinical stages by incorporating approaches like AI, biomarkers, and in silico simulation to accelerate the drug development. COVA-001 and 002 will be profiled in vitro assays in dengue 1 to 4, followed by in vivo PD studies in the mouse model to establish the efficacy of these two molecules as dengue therapeutics. To complete this preclinical work, we are estimating under 1 million Sing dollars and around 12 to 18 months to complete this work. Most of this work will be done within the local biotech ecosystem in Singapore, and subsequent to IND, COVID Pharma remains committed to continue the clinical development of these drug candidates through regulatory approval. As a startup, we are building up the team. To add to the strength, we are looking at signing up with biology lead, clinical lead as team members, and scientific and finance advisory members. Thank you for your attention and to Catalyst for this opportunity. I will close this pitch with our mission statement for COVID Pharma, which is to collaborate and innovate to develop novel medicines.
Thank you. Panel?
001 still in development, or is it already live?
Hi, sorry, the question is about COVA-001, right? No, it's in the preclinical stage. It hasn't entered the human studies yet. It's in preclinical stage.
Okay, and the roadmap is?
So the roadmap is to test the in vitro efficacy, confirm the in vitro efficacy again in our established cell-based assays. That will give us the confirmed numbers about the in vitro efficacy, and then perform the animal model studies. That will give us the indications around biomarkers and also clinical development plan.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So question I have is, since your name is Collaborate and Innovate, where is the collaboration in what you're doing? Who are you collaborating with?
Yeah, no, that's an interesting question, and I'm glad that you asked it as well. So that gives me some chance to explain. So these molecules, right, they come from the academics, right? The COVA-001 comes from an academic institute in US, whereas the COVA-002 comes from an academic institute in Germany. And we're now translating these, building the strengths in the ecosystem we have in Singapore to translate these in the clinic. So this is a virtual setup to collaborate and innovate to bring these medicines and translate these innovations to the clinic and for the benefits of the patient.
Well, the last group I asked about Secret Lab, maybe you guys are going to be the BioNTech of the future. So when you talk about this, what is the market size for the dengue treatment for, say, COVID-1, 001? Because if you want me to put in $1 million, right? If you're going to be BioNTech, then maybe I might think about doing it, right? So what is your market size?
Oh, so yeah, no, that's an excellent question. I think I did try to touch base on the number of patients, right, with the dengue infection each year, which is almost 390 million patients each year. just with dengue, and I think that number is increasing further. So that's just the number of patients, but in terms of economic burden, it goes almost up to 10 billion US dollars. So that's a huge economic burden without considering the amount of time lost from the infection. So just the hospitalization and those costs. So huge economic burden as well. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, sort of, it does.
Okay, well, thank you, Amit. Let's move on to the next team, and that's Team Vanguard.
Hi, we are a team of scientists and engineers from NTU School of Biomedical Engineering, and we have developed a few cool technologies to democratize DNA detection. Our objective is to make DNA testing more accessible to the public, and especially doctors, so that critical medical decisions can be made in time. Currently, for COVID screening, you can take the antigen rapid test at the clinic or at home, but the catch is that these tests are inaccurate and provides a false sense of security. If you want to have a more accurate PCR test, you have to wait for days, as your sample has to be sent to the lab. During the Lean Launchpad program, we have spent 2 months conducting 57 interviews with doctors and diagnostic companies across Southeast Asian countries, and we have learned that customers wanted a higher sensitivity test, but their major pain point is the long turnaround time, and there's insufficient staff to run these tests, especially in less developed countries. We have the solution to cater to our customers' wishes, and last year, we have developed an assay that completes within 30 minutes. Thanks to Catalyst support, we are able to develop a device that allows users to visualize the results, and the device has a front window to view the results directly. Additionally, it comes with a camera and Wi-Fi connectivity for results reporting. Our assay involves heating, amplifying, and detection of the amplified DNA. Our core technology is at the third step, which enables multiple target detection with variant identification. The results can be viewed with our device, and we are developing our device for the amplification and detection together, and all can be done within a device. Our COVID assay has been verified on clinical samples, which shows high sensitivity detection of up to a CT value of 35, with only one false positive result. So how do we compare with other available detection technologies? PCR has the highest accuracy with variant identification, but takes longer to conduct. On the other hand, we have other assays that are faster and easier to run, but are less accurate and has no variant discrimination ability. Our assay offers the best of both worlds, as we can be fast, accurate, and the ability to discriminate different variant viruses. Our plan is to commercialize our COVID detection assay as fast as possible in Malaysia and Singapore, with a total market size of $432 million, and then proceed to other Southeast Asian countries with a total market size of close to $1 billion. After COVID, the next infectious disease segment that we would like to work on are sexually transmitted infections, which also has a high daily infection rate. In total, there are 1 million new infections daily, and 90% of these infections are trichomoniasis, chlamydia, and gonorrhea. Through our interviews, we have learned that a major pain point of STI diagnostics is that clients prefers anonymity when taking STI tests, and only a few of them would take them voluntarily. As such, we would like to develop our technology as a health screening assay so that the public is able to monitor their health at home periodically and has full control of the results. As we are on track to commercialize our COVID-19 assay, we would like to ask for a seed fund of $100,000 for the manufacturing of our assay, and an additional $250,000 for the development of our device and the STI assay. Thanks a lot, and we would like to invite for questions and further comments.
Thank you. Hello?
I've got 2 questions. Thank you very much for the presentation. Just wanted to ask, in terms of the sensitivity for the test that you've got, is it variant sensitive, or is there a particular kind of strength? Because obviously as we go through the evolution and different variants come through, how sensitive is your test to the existing variants and potentially new variants?
Thanks for the question. So regarding variants, we have one is identifying them, which means you can tell like you have detected a Delta variant or a Beta variant. And another thing is that you can detect them, but then you are blind towards which variant they are. So in terms of sensitivity, the primers that we use, or that we are using, can be both. We can detect all the variants And if you want to have the ability to identify them, you can use another specialized detector so that you're able to identify and say like this patient is infected with the Delta or the Beta or the Alpha.
And then the second question is, in terms of the assay technique, is there a particular technique that you're using, or are you guys thinking of things like CRISPR technology or whatever? I'm just kind of thinking longevity, because whilst you're building it for CRISPR, as you're building it for COVID, as that wanes out, what do you pivot it then to? And I know you mentioned STIs, but is there an ability to do that in a much quicker fashion rather than the development time that you may have to put in?
In terms of the development time, designing, for example, because we have several platforms in terms of IP that we have probe-based and we have CRISPR-based as well. So in terms of developing new detection for new diseases, it doesn't take very long. The time taken is mostly for regulatory approval. So the time for us to design a new primer or a new probe wouldn't take very long. It just takes like 1 month. It's just that the regulatory approvals for the manufacturing of these assays would take the longer time.
Thank you.
The vision that everybody has the reader at home, and then depending on the test, you supply them with the primers and the swab or the saliva kit. Is that right?
Thanks for the question. Yes. Our model is more like a printer and cartridge model where you buy the printer and then you can buy different cartridges with different colors. So yes, you can have the device at home. And the vision that we try to strive towards is that you can have the device at home. And if you, for example, your kid is having a fever, you can go to the pharmacy and buy a test kit for that. Or if you want to testing for STI or you have an exposure, you can also do that as well.
Do you have any ballpark number as to what this printer is going to cost?
The prototyping cost right now is pretty low because I bought all of the components from China.
I'm talking about cost to the customer, not to you. To the patient.
Cost? Oh, you mean for the device?
Price, yeah.
I haven't have a very accurate estimate on that yet, but we should do it possible to be below $100.
Okay, that's fantastic. It's like a blood glucose meter or something.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So the time we have. Thank you, team. Next we have.
Thanks for the question.
Thank you. And next we have Ask Doctor.
Hi, I'm Brian, founder and CEO of Ask Doctor. Have you ever had an experience where you're Googling a simple health issue and they told you it was cancer? Well, that was me, and I'd like to introduce you to Ask Doctor. Our mission here at Ask Doctor is to democratize the world's access to reliable health information. Now, doctors don't have a scalable way to address misinformation or what the World Health Organization coins as an infodemic. They also have restrictions on advertising placed on them, which makes it hard for them to get discovered. On the patient side, we found they lack a centralized place to go for reliable and personalized health information, and they had many basic health-related questions they wanted to resolve but did not think warranted a consultation. So our solution is a platform that makes reliable, legitimate, and personalized health information more accessible to the public by connecting them to verified providers on our platform, so as to be a reliable source of information, to serve as a directory for these doctors, and to integrate a very fragmented medical ecosystem. Like how LinkedIn is your business profile, our aim is for Ask Doctor to be your health profile. Now, without any paid marketing, we've managed to organically onboard over 250 doctors on our platform over the last year. And on the consumer side, we've managed to grow our traffic between 20 to 30% month-over-month growth. In terms of the market for health information search and content, it's not just a sizable market, but it's also a very regular occurring market, whereby 1 in 14 searches on Google are indeed health searches. And that equates to about 70,000 health searches per minute. And while we're currently focused on deepening our presence in Singapore, we've had over 19% of questions come from overseas, and that really validates the expansion opportunities to different markets. In terms of the market size, we had to rely on US data due to the lack of published data in Asia. But in 2016, the annual expenditure of medical marketing was $30 billion, with $1 billion spent online, and we see that number growing as advertisers move towards higher scalability and lower costs. As a rough guesstimate, would take about 20 to 30% of their value as a representation of the Southeast Asian market. We also found that doctors spend anywhere between $600 to $15,000 per month on advertising despite restrictions placed on them. Now, diving into our business model, the first layer will be a free and open platform for the doctors and patients to advance our social mission of accessibility to reliable health information. The second layer will contain 3 branches of sustainability. The first branch is something we're working on already with industry partners, and that will be the health promotion campaigns. So these are something that we work with pharmaceuticals or clinics who like to shed more light on a particular disease that they're working on, a particular problem they're working on. The second 2 branches are more of a future revenue streams. The first one being revenue generation, which includes partners like telemedicine partners or appointment booking software companies, and we'll be able to generate warm patients to their services. And the way we structure the partnership will be in a fee splitting model. Third branch will be data analytics for infodemiology or social listening, and these will be able to give brands ways to listen or understand the customers better, hear what they want, and build a trend around that. And that will help them be more informed about what their customers are looking for. Our team has domain expertise in both medicine and technology. So my background's in software engineering. And when I started to work on this problem, I reached out to an old friend, Dr. Dinesh, who is a clinician at Raffles Medical. And he previously co-founded a telemedicine startup that was acquired a year after the launch. Full disclosure, he was an early investor in Ask Doctor, and currently I've invited him to be more active with us. So with that, we're looking for mentors who have experience in the industry to help guide us along our journey. Also collaborators, both GPs and specialists, who'll be able to help us to cater to more conditions on our platform, which in turn caters to more patients and really helps us to scale our impact. We'll also be looking at starting our fundraising round in the next few months. So if you're an investor and you're looking for an opportunity to be part of our movement, I'll be dropping my email in the next slide, and feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to update you on our progress, as well as more information about our next fundraising round. So thank you very much for your time.
I got Brian, okay. Panel?
This is Julian from AWS. Can I just check with you, what's the source for the data that you're pulling the articles and the abstracts from? Where are you going to where they're kind of validated and verified? Just trying to understand where you're getting that from.
Yeah, good question, and thanks for the question. So essentially, our mission again is to make the internet a safer place for people to learn about their health and stay informed so that they can lead healthier lives. And we believe that the source of this reliable health information would be the doctors themselves. So when we talk about articles on the platform, the people who are writing them would be the doctors themselves, and they're publishing it by themselves onto the platform. That's one aspect of the way that we fight medical misinformation. And that will be categorized under the long form content. Shorter form content would be things like questions and answers. So it's user generated. Patients can come onto the platform, they can ask questions, and doctors will be able to address them. So those are 2 ways in terms of content where they can learn. And we also extended that into events as well. So it's just different digital real estates that we have that allow us to combat medical misinformation.
Thank you.
And even doctors have differing opinions though. So how are you going to decide whose view you're going to take?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think that's very beneficial for the community, particularly because we focus a lot on transparency. So we do have occurrences where there's a question asked and there are different opinions that are weighed into it. More so, we see there's a lot more collaboration between them in terms of managing the answers. But if we take an extreme view and we have a bad actor, for example, who's writing something that's a bit extreme or radical, right? There are different ways where we can manage that. And we take a semi-managed approach to managing the platform. What I mean by that is that the first half of managing it is crowdsourced by the community. So we have different buttons reserved for whether patients or doctors. And every time they click a button to upvote or to recommend a certain piece of article, it feeds into our algorithm to understand whether that content is right or not. If it starts getting flagged for a number of times, then our platform will automatically take it down and it'll be subject for review. And then once we do that, our team will review it with our clinical partners and choose whether to reinstate it or take it off.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So who's paying the doctors for doing all this work?
Very good question. Again, the mission is to keep this as accessible as possible, because where the magic happens in order for us to advance our mission of making reliable health information accessible to all, it's when the two nodes, the doctors and patients, do come together. So we try to keep it free for them. But like I alluded to in our business model, a lot of the partners that are paying for this would be the industry partners. So these would be people like pharmaceuticals or supplement companies.
Who will they pay?
So they pay the platform so that we can continue to be sustainable to allow both the nodes to work.
Okay, and you will pay the doctors?
The doctors are not paid, and the patients are not paid as well. They pay us to keep the platform afloat and sustainable so that we can run and allow things to be managed. They essentially pay us to be inserted in the user journey and the digital real estate that we've created, whether it's pages on questions or articles or events, so that they can advertise to the doctors or even reach patients if they want to talk about a certain disease.
Mm-hmm.
Panel? I think that's all the time we have as well. Thank you, Brian. And let's move on to the final team for today, and that's Mapping Health.
Hello, we are Mapping Health, and we automate the processing of unstructured medical data. Our team consists of Hanif Samad, who is a data scientist. He is an ex-public healthcare statistician. We also have two clinicians, Dr. Andrew Fang, who is a primary care physician with experience in medical informatics and data analytics. I am a vascular surgeon, and I've recently completed my MBA. The problem that us clinicians face is that it's challenging to harness and scale the value of unstructured clinical data while keeping documentation simple. This is as healthcare data is large volume and is also unstructured and difficult to extract. We have validated our problem by holding multiple interviews, and we would like to focus on the auditor in the quality office who needs to manually review 400 discharge summaries per week just to identify 15 different adverse events. This problem is also sizable, and Health Affairs in 2016 did report that more than 15 billion is spent annually just to report quality measures in the United States. Of note, 15 hours is spent per physician per week dealing with quality measures, and it has been estimated that if this were put away with, the physician would be able to treat 9 additional patients per week. At this point, I would like to hand over to Hanif, who will talk about our Mapping Health solution and also give a demo of our prototype. Hanif, over to you.
Introducing Mapping Health, an end-to-end solution that plugs into any source of unstructured clinical data and extracts the information that you need. In this demo, we will simulate a process that is taking place in many hospitals around the world, and that is identifying adverse events from discharge summaries. Currently, this is a manual process, which means it takes a lot of time, and not all cases get detected, which is not ideal. So how might Mapping Health improve on this situation? Let's have a look. Here we have 300 de-identified patient summaries, which we have extracted from a public data set, and that we ran through our NLP engine, or natural language processing. Now, the first thing that can happen is that with the click of a button, we are automatically able to filter the number of cases of potential adverse events. As you can see, we have roughly half the number of cases, and we do this through a combination of keywords and rules for these adverse events. Now, does this mean that the system is perfect and that all of these cases are actual adverse events? Well, the answer is no. We know that patient cases can be complex, and that is why we have built a human-in-the-loop module that enables the clinician to verify these cases with their expert knowledge. And they're able to do this through powerful contextual attribution of these cases. So for example, it's not just renal failure, but acute renal failure that identifies this patient for a potential case of acute dialysis. Likewise, for the adverse event of DVT or deep vein thrombosis, this is where a patient runs the risk of a blood clot due to a recent surgery. We have actually enhanced the NLP to be able to identify temporal attributions. So in this case, as you can see, this patient was flagged for multiple surgeries, but we note that all of them were done in the past. In addition, we integrate standardized clinical terminologies such as SNOMED CT that enable
precise data definitions of the identified clinical concepts. This is very useful. For example, if you're building a registry, or if you intend to use the high-quality data that has been curated as the basis for a future AI model. In summary, there are 4 components that make mapping health an end-to-end solution: automatic de-identification, recognition of clinical concepts, including diagnoses and procedures, powerful contextual attribution of those concepts, including temporal attributions, as well as an integrated data model that uses standardized clinical terminologies. So why choose mapping health? We have surveyed the competitor landscape, and we find that our human-in-the-loop module, as well as bespoke elements, distinguish us from our local and regional competitors. In fact, we have found a company called Carta Healthcare, based in San Francisco, which is trying to do something very similar to us, except that, of course, we have the localized knowledge for this market. In fact, if you'll notice, Carta is the Latin word for map. So apparently, we were not the only ones who were thinking of mapping health. Over to you, Enming.
This is our B2B model, and we'll focus on EMR providers and healthcare providers as our customers. Our UVP is that we are interoperable and we will be EMR agnostic. We will also work on a subscription model. For next steps and requests, we would like to improve our hybrid NLP engine and develop our automatic de-identification model. Please collaborate with us. We are looking for early adopters with use cases and also other developers who are interested in joining us on our journey. In summary, this is a big opportunity in the healthcare data processing market. We have a unique product, and we also have a strong team with some clinical expertise. We request to link up with early adopters to validate our solution in a real-world problem. Contact us at maphealth.io. Thank you.
Sorry, this is Julian from AWS. Can I ask, the product that you're talking about, is the intent that it's only going to be for a Singapore market, or are you going to be looking at geographical expansion?
I think definitely our intentions are broad. Our ambition would be broad, but because of our local expertise, we would target the Singapore market first. Very importantly, the data that we have validated our prototype on is based on the US market, and we know that doctors in different places write differently. So I think it's important to get that contextual knowledge right before we think ahead of a regional or even global expansion.
Okay.
Any initial customers that you have in mind? Because you're going for a B2B solution, right? I understand. Who are these healthcare institutions that you're thinking of approaching? Do you have them in mind?
So we definitely have the local PHIs, the public healthcare institutions, only because I think their use case is the clearest for us now. So this task of identifying adverse events is a real use case from the public healthcare institutions. So, your Tan Tock Seng hospitals and your Sengkang hospitals would definitely be in mind. And we have the connections, to start the conversation, I would say. But definitely in the long term, we would hope to expand beyond the PHI setting. To be honest, one of the first customers that we tried to validate our prototype on was GPs, only because we feel like the regulatory burden is potentially less. But unfortunately, it feels like the GPs are not at a stage where they require this kind of clinical data processing at this stage. But we feel that as Singapore and even the other developed economies move to a value-based care system, right, and there is a need for GPs to actually produce quality reports that look very deeply into the clinical aspects of their free text data, then I think our solution will become more relevant.
Just going to give you some warning about public health institutions. I mean, now that I'm in private, the funding cycles and the getting budget, to get payment for the contracts takes a long time. So you need to get your product ready, and you might not get your money. So just be warned.
Thank you for that.
Do you know of a company called BotMD?
Yes.
Yeah, because I think they're doing stuff which sounds similar to what you're doing, only it might be more in terms of helping run the hospital better.
Clinic
so,
management.
Yeah, so they might be a good, Dorothea Ko, I think. So she would be a good person to talk to see what you might encounter as you go along.
Thank you.
Just as the last one. In terms of accuracy for the translation and transcribing, what results are you getting so far with the engines that you've built?
So I will take this because right now we are actually iterating the model we have not collected final statistics because we actually find that the engine is not picking up certain things that we would like to. So that bit where I mentioned that we need the temporal attributions. So that's where we have noticed that even without an accuracy statistics, the engines that we are putting together are not picking that up. So we are trying to make it incorporate that. So yeah, it will be an iterative process, and we hope to get through that first stage of providing some accuracy metrics, at least for the public data set first.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mapping Health, and thank you to the panel as well. And there you have it, the 10 teams of the Catalyst AA Innovation Program. Congratulations, teams, for putting in such an amazing effort, especially during these very, very difficult times. Now, we're going to move on to the networking segment. Let me tell you how this is going to work. So we're going to do 2 rounds, and the first round you'll be randomly automatically sent to a breakout room, so you don't have to do anything. We'll send you to those rooms. Just a quick reminder, when you get into there, please use the chat function, private chat function, to exchange contact details. And then after about 10 minutes, you can actually join any breakout room. You can always click on the breakout room button at the bottom of the screen to go to other breakout rooms. Or if you click on the leave room button, you can come back to the main plenary room, and we will be showing you this particular chart. To remind you of the teams that have presented today. And so we will let the networking run till about 7 o'clock. But before we break out the rooms, and on behalf of the partners, the Medical Alumni Association of Singapore, NUS, and Jumpstart, Mayang, and also the Catalyst team. I thank you all very, very much for spending your afternoon with us and joining today's demo day. I hope you have good conversations in the breakout rooms, and please, very, really importantly, please think about how you might actually help those teams. They need every bit of help from you in order to succeed. Have a good evening, everyone. Now we'll break out into the rooms.